All right, so the first thing we want to talk about today is when we talk about garden goals. And if you all don't know me, I like to say I like to do keeping things real. So, a lot of times I have folks walk in the office here and they always have these grand ideas, right? They're going to be farmers or be gardeners. They're going to have 5 acres of produce and everything's going to be great. So, what we want to do when we're setting any goals, especially with gardening, is keeping things real. So here's the importance of setting goals, okay? And I have some colleagues and some friends. It's like this little doggy here, if y'all can see him. Um, we, as gardeners and as people like to get out there and do things, sometimes we get a little distracted, right? We're walking through the farm store. We see plants for sale. We might be somewhere else, and somebody gives us an idea of what to grow. And then what do we know? We're off on the next little tangent, and we have forgotten the things that we came to do, right? So we're trying to stay focused. Um, as this Thursday throwdown progresses, we're going to be hearing from some really great people on the topics that you're probably really here for, like the soils and the garden layout and starting seeds and all that stuff that you really want to grab onto and go. But this setting the goals in the very beginning is probably one of the more important things you could do for yourself, is set realistic goals. So what are some things that help you be successful in a garden? And maybe you've had the best garden ever, maybe you've done really great gardening, but maybe there are some things that we can all work on. And I think when we lay out the knowing the why, the what, the where, the when, the who, and the how, which I know those are all in different order, but we've got a plan for that. So when we go through, as we look at our realistic goals, and I'm sorry, Keely, if there's something in the chat I'm supposed to keep on track of, just let me know, okay? I'm trying to
Okay,
look at both of those.
I will. Stacey, I just put the garden fact sheets links in the chat is what I put
Oh,
in there.
bless you. Thank you, Jody. Okay, so as we go on, so we're not distracted by little squirrels, like I just got distracted by the chat. Setting our golden garden goals is really going to help map out where we go. Okay, let's hit the why. Why are you gardening? Okay. Now, please understand that this little picture up here on the left with all them cans, that ain't my picture. Okay. I stole that picture. That is somebody that's been one of their goals is food security. Wouldn't you guess? Okay. They want to have security in their pantry. They want to be able to provide fresh, healthy food throughout the entire year for their family. If that is your goal, that is great, but that's going to kind of change some dynamics of how you do things. If your goal is just healthier eating in general, you might not have to go full-fledged with a huge garden. It might just be some things to grab and go, some things to slice up as you go. Is your goal physical exercise? So be real with yourself. If you'd like to just eat some healthier things and be out in the garden, that might change how you do things as well. Maybe you don't put in automatic waters. Maybe if being outside and doing physical activity, maybe you physically hand water every single day. So make your goals, make the what's and the whens and the whys later, make those match up with what your goals are. Emotional wellness. So if you're like me, you love being in the garden. If emotional wellness is your thing of why you're gardening, then also think that through. So if, let's say, remember back to last year, if you are stressed out because your tomatoes got blight and you're in the garden crying, pulling up stuff, and or maybe you didn't quite plan the timing out right, and you're trying to harvest and can salsa at the same time right before y'all go on vacation or something like that. You know, if you're doing the garden for a bigger part of just emotional wellness and because you love doing it, then when you plan your goals out and you think about the past and things like that, don't do the same things over and over again if those are the things that are stressing you out, if that makes sense. So don't repeat history if history was not good. Okay, so yeah, one of the other things, if you've seen your friend squash bugs. We'll talk about squash bugs. So if you've seen your friend make her own salsa or his own salsa and you thought that was really cool and you want to do that, that's going to change how you plan your garden out. If you're looking at selling at a farmer's market, that is also going to change a lot of how you plan your garden out. So if you're looking at taking a lot of produce and selling it to the folks you work with, people down the road, that's going to change how you lay out your garden too, because now it's not just you and your family, it's a bigger picture. Okay, so we get to the what and the where. Okay, so the what. Checking my time here. What do you currently have? What's your infrastructure? Do you already have a garden? Do you already have a fence? These are the things you can write these things out right now. You need to be listing what do you need to make a successful garden. So you see water soakers up there. If you're planning on having a busy time where you can't be watering every day, do you have water soakers that you can access and use? Do you have, of course, a water source? Do you have what's your sun like? So maybe I'm assuming most of you guys are already gardeners, but there might be a lot of you all who are just beginning gardeners and have never done it before. So if you are, you have a lot of homework right now. So some of that homework is thinking of, your land where you want to start the garden. What was the sun exposure? And I don't know if y'all can see that picture, but somebody just took a little, time to make a little chart and they graphed out the sun exposure they spent all day. And, you can do things around the house as you're doing it, but look at where the sun is at in your particular garden location. So if you see that the place you had in your mind that's going to be the dream garden only gets partial shade, maybe you need to adjust either the plants you're growing or where your garden's located. Also on the bottom picture there, someone just quickly did a garden layout. So again, we have a session in a couple weeks called Winter Activities in your garden. And Jennifer's, I think, going to touch more on how to lay out your garden. So right now, it's just getting your mindset on what do you actually want to come out of this garden. And so you have homework from now until, the next session. You do have some homework, things like sun exposure, thinking about what you're wanting to get out of your garden, because that will help you later on when these people are asking about soils and asking about garden layout. This is gonna be your layout of what your goals are. Okay. The when. So, and I am rushing. I'm sorry. I'm rushing a little bit, but so this is the when. Everybody see the garden calendar? Everybody have a garden calendar? Okay, if you don't, I happen to know some places you can stop by and get garden calendars at your local extension office. They're also available online. That garden calendar, don't get me wrong, I love the garden calendar, right? It's got all kinds of cool stuff in there. It's a little overwhelming, right? Because you see something written on every single day and you're like, holy moly, right? So my suggestion is if you are either a beginner gardener or you have just like a small to medium sized garden, is use the calendar as a reference, but create your own calendar to match what you're able to do, to mold it around what your time frame is. Okay, make sense? Okay, so if you are busy in a community, let's say, so you got kids or grandkids, right, and they're playing baseball. Okay, baseball season winds up, it's got the busiest season, and you're running around in June. So maybe ahead of time, hey, June's gonna be super busy, so I need to do some of these things ahead of time, or I need to have everything planted and be ready to go and just have to water in June. Oops, sorry. Okay, pace yourself. Don't be this lady out here in the snow. I know most of y'all want to be, but I always tell my master gardeners and folks that the first ray of sunshine, and it, you've done it too in March when that nice little warm day comes along and you all go running outside to plant something, just chill. Everybody chill out and just think about, the plan. Stick to your goals and follow your plan, right? Okay, the who. So you have it in your mind. You're going to, and I keep going back to like a salsa garden, right? So, because that's one of my personal goals is I want to grow all the stuff I need to can some awesome salsa. Okay. So I need to know who's going to help me with that. My busy time is in June. I've got a fair and a couple camps and all that craziness. So I need to know who's going to water. I also have a dream. I need to create, I need to have somebody build some compost bins, or I build them. And so whoever is helping you, do they know that they're part of the team? Okay. And I say that because I have a long list of things for, like, that my husband's going to do to help me in the garden. He might not know that yet, but so anybody that's on your team, make sure they're on board with you. Like, are they going to help? Are your kids going to help? Grandkids? Anybody that's willing to help you, make sure that they understand what their responsibilities are. Also the who of who you're selling it to. So if you do have plans of selling it, because again, there's a lot of people on here. I'm not sure if we're doing just small gardens or if anybody's selling farmers market, but if you, let's say you get in a hurry and you buy 300 strawberry plants, who you selling them to? Okay. Who's going to harvest, and where are these strawberries going? So, always make sure that your goal goes all the way to the end of harvesting and selling, or harvesting and preserving. And again, I'm sorry, I'm rushing, and I'm sorry, this is so general, but okay, this is the how. Y'all see the garden plan on the top left? That's a picture I stole from the internet, but that's real pretty. So you can go, this is a garden journal. Okay, you can either make your own garden journal, or they have them online. That's a really pretty way of like lining out, hey, this is what I'm going to plant this year. So if you want to right now, it'd even be a way of looking through garden journals or creating your own template to be ready to start some of these things. I wrote mine on a piece of notebook paper, just little, some things that I want to get done. So, I have built a compost bin. I need to do an asparagus bed this year. But these are things I need to be planning out ahead of time, because that's my goal. So I need to figure out now, how much asparagus do I want? Okay. I'm the only one that eats asparagus in my family, so I probably shouldn't do a really big asparagus bed, right? So those are the things you need to be thinking about and keeping real with. Also, there's a lot of garden apps, like this one on the bottom. It's kind of small to see for me, but it is there's a Mother Earth one. There's Get Gardening is one of the apps that's really good. It's got a lot of things. You put the crops in there that you want to grow, and it gives you a nice little time frame of when you plant. It's like the garden calendar, but on your phone, if that helps. But I like the good old garden calendar myself. Okay, so things to include. I saw somebody on the chat talking about seeds in there somewhere. Okay, so somebody says Seed Time is a really good app. So I appreciate that suggestion there. And somebody's talking about garden grow lights. Another good thing to think about is your goal. Would you love to start all the plants, from seed that you're going to garden? If that is your goal, you got to, okay, be realistic. You got to get that stuff now, right? You've got to figure out your grow lights. You got to make sure you're going to be there to water these things. You got to make sure that you have a way to remember how you're going to do all this stuff. Bonnie, you garden all year round. Good for you. More power to you. I love it. So as Jody mentioned, if you look in that chat, Jody, maybe if you don't care, you might want to post the link to those garden fact sheets again real quick. So right now, y'all's homework, remember, is to look through. Do I have anything else before I do homework? Okay. All right. So you look through. When you talk about your goals, we're talking about the why, the what, the where, the when, the who, and the how. Okay. The why probably is the most important this time of year, just because it's cold, and right now we're just thinking 50 million things that we want to do. So why are you doing it, and be realistic, right? So, I'm gonna just open this up for questions. So Jody posted that thing again, the link on there for the gardening fact sheets. I'm going to open this up for questions, because this was designed to be a really kind of general, kind of generic type of gardening lesson today. Because what today we want you to do is to start to think about what your goals are, right? Obviously, you want to be here, you want to garden, that's why you jumped on the thing today. You'll have more, you know, some of you have a lot of experience in gardening, and some of you might not. So, you know, if you want to put some gardening advice on there as far as, you know, if you have 20 years of experience gardening, what's one thing you would never do again? Okay. Or what's one thing you're just so glad you did again? And it varies by person, but we want to see some of those. And you holler up in the chat or unmute yourself and feel free to ask questions. Nobody's got questions. I see Angela just left me. Oh, no, wait, Angela's back. I thought maybe it was bad enough she just left. All right. Kind of questions.
Stacey, I appreciate this. I've never actually sat down and thought about what do I want to grow. I just kind of do it.
We just jump in. And I think sometimes you're absolutely right. So I think being real with ourselves. So like I want to go back here to, oh no, wait, go back here. So this little note thing of mine, right? And that was just really quick. I did that today. I need to be better about this because so last year I had this little herb bed, right? I had to have an herb bed. So I make this little raised bed. Actually, you know, I dragged some other people in to help me that weren't real happy about it. So I grow lavender because you got to grow lavender, right? Turns out I'm not a big lavender fan. Okay. I also grew a crap ton of rosemary. Yeah, it turns out I don't really use rosemary that much. So, but it was fun to grow. But my goal this year is to grow herbs that I will actually use in cooking. So it could be as something as simple as that as a goal. It could be, you know, I hate to go back to the salsa thing, but it, you know, is something like, you know, canning your own vegetable soup at the end of the season. Is that something you've always dreamed of? And if it is, awesome, go for it. But back yourself up, figure out, you know, all the goals and that, like if it is to can, what all needs to happen to make sure that that is successful. I think I put in there, I can't read that. Oh yeah, one of my garden goals is to grow everything for salsa, but then I need to learn how to can salsa. So that's one of my goals.
Well, and you also need things to get ripe at about the same time.
Correct. Yeah.
And we have some questions about things like starting seeds and using transplants. And we will be having some other sessions that'll help you with some of those things. So like next week, we're going to be talking about how to do soil testing for your home garden. And there's plenty of time to still get that in to send it off to the soil testing lab. West Virginia does have free soil testing. But for those of you that are asking questions and saying you're having trouble starting seeds and some of the things like that, we will be addressing some of that in our sessions to come along soon.
And Jody, that's a good point. So if you look at my garden goals, okay, one of them is about the asparagus bed. All I need to know right now is that I'm going to start planning some of the things that I need to get done. So I need to test my soil, right? I need to, you know, I need to figure out my mulching source. So if you have dreams of mulching your entire garden, where's this mulch coming from? You know, if you think, oh, I'm just going to get it from the same guy, maybe just reach out and say, hey, can I still get mulch from you this coming spring? Have all your ducks in a row. If it's, I want to learn about one of your garden goals is to better your soil. Okay. So your goal then you've set out, you want to better your soil. So you better have your questions ready and be ready for a couple weeks from now when Emily talks about bettering your soil. I forget. I think Emily's on here, but sampling your soil, I think is next week. And Emily does a great job. So if you have questions about soil and things like that, have those ready. February the 15th, Jennifer Friend is talking about, oh, Jennifer, your name fell off there. Sorry. Jennifer Friend is talking about winter activities. So this is where we get in the nitty gritty of, are we talking about seed starting, laying out your garden? Okay. So she's going to jump right into that kind of stuff. Right now is the general, hold your horses, think about the big picture, get your goals together. So that way in the next coming weeks, you'll be able to jump into soils and seed starting.
And we'll get a list to Kristen so she can go ahead and post the topics soon. But you guys are welcome to submit topics for things that you would like to learn more about. Kristen, somebody has posted that the QR code does not work.
Yeah, I just replied to that. I've shared the link in the chat. If you guys are able to access the chat, you can click it there. Or if you can't, just let me know and I can say it out loud if some of you, I don't know if any of you are dialing in on your phone or not, but
I think the issue is the QR code is something because that looks like one small corner of the whole image. I think it got messed up in the formatting. That's what the issue is. And yeah, we need to give out the code phrase somebody pointed out.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
The secret code.
What's a code phrase? Tell me what this is. It sounds interesting and secretive. Tell me all about it.
So this is something that we're going to embed in the presentation so that we can be sure people are watching and not just going in and filling out the survey. So if you were going to say what sums up, what you've talked about, that can be the code phrase.
Think of a code word.
Okay, ready? Can it be a phrase?
Yeah, whatever
Right.
whatever
Ready?
you
Here it
Let's keep it to one word though, just so everybody puts it in right.
Oh, okay. How about 2 words? Get real.
Get real. I love it.
Get real.
Perfect.
Everybody get that? The code
So if
word.
I tell you all I'm getting ready to start 10 acres of strawberries, y'all tell me get real, okay?
And Kristen, people are asking about the slides. So I don't know how you want to handle that, but we can certainly get the slides available for each of the presentations.
Yes, so
there's a way
we'll be putting
with
this
that.
out. The recorded version will go out as well, so people can again refer back to it, watch it again. Obviously, we're only going to take 1 point submission per person, so but you will have access to the slides. So
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, speaking of get real, Keely or Kristen or somebody said something about homework for next week as far as what we'd like to see from you. So from now until next week, I want you to get real and I want you to make your garden plan. Okay. It could be as simple as a piece of notebook paper, something you can tape on the fridge or something like that, or it could be real fancy garden journal. But I want to, we want to see some examples of your garden plans and your garden goals. Okay, this is not specific. I'm going to plant these varieties of tomatoes. It's general stuff. I want to plant different tomatoes. I want to plant everything for salsa, whatever those goals are. We want to see them for next week, okay?
That's great. And
You're
I
shaking your
posted
head.
a
Let me
link
see.
to the YouTube channel in the chat as well. That's where the recording of this will go, and we
Cool.
should have that uploaded in the next couple days.
I'm going to be on YouTube.
Oh yeah, you're going to be a YouTuber.
My kid's going to be so proud.
And for those of you who have asked in the comments, if we'll be talking about certain topics or, suggesting topics, I've written all those down. We've been tossing around the idea of extending this a little if it, continues to get some traction. So we'll definitely take all of those ideas into consideration. So thank you guys for the suggestions.
Will we be able to actually print your slides?
I'm deferring to Zach because I don't
Me
know
too.
if there's a way to do a PDF like link in the YouTube. We'll
Yeah, we can figure that out. That's a good idea.
Well, I work with veterans and my garden from last year, Veggies for Veterans. So the slides will kind of help them get an idea of and write ideas down. So they're more paper kind of people, the guys that I have.
Well,
Yeah,
that's good.
Stacey, if you'll send that to me, I'll get it online.
Okay. I can do that.
Thank you.
All righty, folks. Well, keep adding your stuff on the chat. We appreciate it. Keep adding all the topics you want to see because we still have a few slots to fill. So we'll make sure to try to get all your topics covered. Okay.
Get to the survey.
What's that, Melinda?
How is it that we do the survey?
Look in the chat. There's a link to that in the chat.
Is that the bit?
Yeah,
LY?
bit.ly GT Throwdown.
Okay. So you
And
do that then.
And don't forget your code word. Get real.
Get real.
Can somebody paste that again at the bottom there so they can find it easier?
It's
Yes.
at the very bottom.
It's at the very bottom. Okay.
I wish there was a way to pin a comment, but
LY
Thank you guys. I think we got up to 82 at the highest. That's really, really good.
Fantastic job, Stacey.
Thanks,
All right, guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get to planning. I'd like to see the goals next week. I want some inspiration.
And again, next week will be Emily Morrow talking about how to soil test your garden.